In the man's obituary, the man was listed as having died of natural causes. Because a Wampa ripping your face off will quite naturally end your life. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zereth Prevails. We got another crash course today, and it's going to be with Wampa and his Omicron, one of the most amazing early game and late game characters. He's relevant on all different fronts, and so yeah, check out my other crash course videos. I'll try to link them in the video description, and you want to get the most use out of him here, guys. I would dispel some of these myths, because people tend to just say like, oh yeah, Wampa will solve that, and maybe at certain levels he does, but keep in mind, if you want to beat the really top teams and you want to be prepared for everything, you're gonna have to I don't know, embrace reality a little bit more. He's still a very strong tool to have, and probably a top 5 Omicron in the entire game. Really awesome stuff. So before we do anything, let's do a miniature size of thanks to my patrons, and I do, in fact, appreciate you guys more than the size of this graphic. I really appreciate you guys so much. I couldn't do it without you. I'm just apparently being silly today. And guys, just a reminder, if you want to help support this channel for free, all you've got to do is hit that thumbs up button, like, subscribe, comment, help me mount the algorithm, guys. The Wampa's been mounting the algorithm and making deposits for several years at this point. It may be not quite that long. Who frickin' knows? Now let's get to the whoa. That was, you guys got a sneak peek of what's going to happen. Now, if anyone knows if you've been following any of my debates with Kate Gaming, you know, the famous Kate Gaming, that we famously disagreed on which Zeta is best, and CG, in their wisdom, all hail CG, they put the Omicron behind the worst Zeta. They're both good Zetas though, and I would apply both of them honestly, if you can. And of course you do have to have the Omicron, or there's not much point in watching this and trying to use it. Keep in mind, like, that Omicron is incredibly important. It is impossibly important. If you don't apply it, then I don't know what to tell you. It's pretty amazing. I would also recommend, guys, if you can, and I know that not everyone loves Datacrons, but if you can bring yourself to actually engage in Datacrons, they can really help the Wampa out. They help every squad out, but he loves Relic 5, so he can use a wide range of Datacrons. Now, in terms of stats, this is the stats for my Relic 8 Wampa. You don't have to get him to 8, though. 8 is obviously the sweet spot for attackers at this stage of it. You really want health, all the health you can get. That includes with the speed arrow, all of that stuff. You want to make sure that you're not getting lapped too much by the people that you're facing, and you want to take turn to turn. He's going to be gaining a lot of turn meter over time anyways, but it's good to have a decent base speed. The bigger thing though, of course, is tenacity. You want to make sure that you don't get pushed out with the tenacity stuff, and a lot of health, guys, because you're going to be using a lot of bonus protection and protection up. I guess just protection up, but that stat uses his base health, which is really important. Not to mention there's a ton of other stats that rely on him having really high base health as well. And you want tenacity because you don't want to get stunned initially by whatever you're facing. So lots of initial tenacity, and then eventually he just, after the first couple hits, your tenacity becomes completely irrelevant. So, things to be wary of. Let's actually go into the game just real quick. I gotta show you guys just a couple really small things that to look out for. Whoa, we're in the game, man. This is a Wampa. He's gonna rip my face off. This is mad. No. Oh, he's just in the game. Cool. I knew that. I knew he wasn't gonna rip my face off. Say hello, Wampa. No? Say hello to Wampa's butt. Alright, just real quick stuff, guys. First off, Tauntaun Treat is the name of his relic, is just, or Tauntaun Feast, sorry. It's just a whole lot of fun. Don't make fun of me for my lack of relic materials. He's a lot of fun. I'm not going to put Relic 9 on him. I just put it on Seer, actually. Relic 8, Relic 7 on him. So, his stuff, he gains turn meter when he hits people. You guys can read all this stuff. This is a crash course, so we can't walk you through it too much. But he gains turn meter when he does his basic, and he can't miss with his basic. It's also a trap to have him attack rebels. I'll show you guys why in a little bit. This is that's one of the huge myths and misconceptions. It's a myth conception, guys, for him. So Icebreaker. I love the names. Like, you could tell they had a lot of fun making this kit. So he causes daze to people. It's an AOE. It gives him the protection up, which is your lifeblood, which is not, he's not Ray, folks, but it is something that is going to really help him. The protection up is very, very important, and it can't be dispelled or prevented. That's how he stays alive for as long as he does. Now, Wampa wins by ramping up his damage. He's not really strong enough to kill most opponents without ramping his damage, so every time he roars, he gets all this stuff, and if you apply the good Zeta, it applies healing immunity. Now, you probably want more potency than I was telling you guys previously, just so you can apply the healing immunity. It's really nice. He also gains turn meter every time based off of how many defeated allies he has, which is none. Like, so he's not gaining any from that, but he does gain turn meter for when he roars for every defeated enemy, or for every active enemy. So if it's only down to one enemy, he's not getting that much. Now this is the one, again, this is a bunch of stats that he gets. And then when he has like, for every damage over time, he's gaining all these cool stats. He already has 50% crit counter chance, and remember, from here, you're also gaining 20% counter chance when he has protection up. Where do you get protection up? From Icebreaker. What does protection up draw off of? His base health. So, otherwise, his Grand Arena thing, big things here, Wampa gains extra tenacity, 100% just base tenacity, which is very, very helpful, as we'll go through, for one of the threats. And then, because of its Omicron, it's in Grand Arenas, he gains all these stats, and when you hit him, you automatically gain 2 stacks of damage over time, so you're actually hurting yourself, because remember, he ramps his damage based off of damage over time. Oh, this isn't it, it's right here. And remember, guys, the other thing to keep in mind is well, we're going to go over that in a minute, but you double these stats if your opponent is alone there. So, that being said, like, if it's a cleanup, essentially, guys, that's essentially what it is. So, Wampa, let's get back to this slideshow. Yay, death by PowerPoint. Things you gotta be worried about. You don't want him to stop, guys. He's going to be countering. He's going to, like, he gains a ton of turn meter based off of his hits and based off of his roars. And when he can't do those things, then his natural slowness is going to eventually just kill him. He wants to avoid things that he is going to get feared on. If they daze him, he needs to be able to, when he does Icebreaker, it dispels all the debuffs on him, so you can use that strategically sometimes. Like if you're facing Dash, for instance, and he auto dazes you, you can save your AoE for that moment to get rid of it, but it's a little bit dicey because then you don't have that protection up either. So things that apply tenacity down are also something you have to be paying close attention to, because if they're accompanied by a stun, such as you hit BB-8, the BB-8 counters, gives you tenacity down, and then he calls R2-D2, who's on the same squad, to stun you, then it's game over. Like, you can't stop moving with Wampa. He just needs to keep going. Anything that has an auto kill, like, unless you can kill them first, but if you're facing bounty hunters and they can get their contract on you pretty easily, then maybe don't face them. If Bam, not Bam, OG Mando is there, something like that. Thrawn, Hondo, Traya can all really shut him down and make things really tough. I mean, 5v5, you basically can't use him, at least at the level that I'm currently playing. You know, in most Kyber leagues, you're not going to be able to, but 3v3, you definitely have some wiggle room. And honestly, a lot of the lower Kybers you can, so I'll take that back a little. Now, his main targets, guys, you're gonna, in order, you want to like target Hondo, non-Hondo, Sauna teams, Galactic Legend, Newt teams, you know, like GL lead, or Newt lead. He's so good we call him GL Newt. Trench teams, even with the Datacron, as long as they don't have Watt. Iden Versio teams will see that. Say the Eternal Emperor, and then Starkiller is just kind of desperation mode. Now, should you target Mon Mothma? And the answer is in threes. Sure, yeah, it's a high percentage, 95% win rate. In fives, though, this is one of the misconceptions people have. They're like, oh yeah, Wampa just destroys Mon Mothma. And in Kybers 1 through 5, with a core of Mon Mothma, Kyle Katarn, Pow, and Scout, and the 5th is just up in the air, the win rate is like less than 70%. That's not great, folks. For against a squad that there's a ton of other counters against, I would avoid it. And against Adrad, it's significantly worse. It is like really bad, guys. So facing rebels, yes, he does more damage against them, but you can lose, and you don't want to lose. Even though you're getting high banners, it's not necessarily great to lose. To lose sight of the fact that like dropping 20 because you wanted to run in and fight them. There's just a lot of pitfalls on the squads, and I feel like that's, people are like, yeah, I just use Wampa, and then you fail like a third of the time against Mon Mothma. Like just I don't know, keep doing it if you want. I actually don't care. I just wanted to make sure you guys understand that this is the pitfall. Wow, what happened? Oh, I have to restart the video, don't I? Okay, so we're going to start against General Grievous, which isn't even listed on here, my bad, or on that last thing, on you know, teams that you're going to be facing. So the first thing you usually want to do, guys, is Icebreaker, which gives you that stack of protection up. Now, I do have, for most of my videos, have this Datacron is what I call it. It's a Datacron that lets you stack stacks of protection up here, which is important, I guess, on some levels, being able to do that. But against most of these teams, I don't think it really matters that much. Whenever you cause a damage over time is when you get that stack of protection. I'm spending too much time talking about the Datacron. The idea here, though, against Grievous, if they don't have BB-8, then you're really high percentage. They just can't do enough damage. They can't get debuffs on you, which is how they gain turn meter. And if they can't gain turn meter, then like you're countering them all the time. You're just destroying them. It's a very lopsided affair, actually. Kind of disappointing in some ways. Now, this is against a Phasma team with the First Order TIE Pilot and Red Trooper, so they're going to assist a lot. And I think this is on my alt account, actually, and this is kind of scary, because so if this Hux, you don't want to do this, actually, because Hux will disallow you to counter, and he has the call to mass assist. You can just delete Wampa right away, especially because Wampa's like, oh, I can't counter, this sucks. And yet still, even with only Phasma lead, look at how our protection up is just gone. Now, I only have a Relic 5 Wampa on this account, but it did kind of get a little bit scary. Alright, so against Iden here, let's real quick go back and we'll talk about Iden. There's two threats for Iden. Number one, you can get deleted by her having too much potency, and with Datacrons, that's very possible for her to get to somewhere around 250. So I'll let you guys look at the math and figure that out. The other thing is, so if they initially stun you, then you're probably dead because they do too much damage for you to withstand 2 full turns of their barrage. The other one is if they have really high armor or defense and you just can't do enough damage, you can kind of just time out against them. So let's go back into the game, and it'll be a good time, folks. All right, here we are. So a lot of times you'll note all the damage over time is just stacking up on him, and in 5v5 sometimes it's even easier for Wampa because he gets hit so much, he counters, and he gains all that turn meter every time he does a basic, and so he's ramping his damage just that much faster by taking more turns. In threes he just doesn't take as many turns because people aren't hitting him as much. So you know, the thing is that if they can stun him initially, that's great for them. They'll eventually defeat him. If they can't, then he eventually, eventually your tenacity keeps going like up by 30 every time you get hit, and your initial starting tenacity just doesn't matter. So doing this fight manually is good initially, just to take out the initial guys, but now, okay, you probably want to put it on auto because you need to ramp some damage. Iden, we can't kill Iden until we kill all the other troopers, and then you see that little circle buff on the end there, that's their revive buff, and as long as they have it, which we don't have a way to dispel it unless we kill someone, it just auto revives them. And so Stormtrooper is super duper tanky. This is a Relic 7 Stormtrooper. It's not the most tanky, but it is still pretty tough. It's just tough to take out a Stormtrooper, honestly, especially as it keeps just dispelling things. You try to kill Stormtrooper, and so he revives, and then he she puts the revive buff back on him because she just cycles through, and it's a whole ridiculous mess. You don't want to kill Iden, so hitting the auto button is a good strategic option here, folks. It's going to help quite a bit in a lot of different instances because it lets you ramp, but the Wampa mostly follows the same routine. Now, this one, I guess I should pause for just a sec, even though I want to get this video done as quickly as possible. The problem here, guys, is I don't have any video footage. Like, I got a new computer. I don't have any of my old video footage, so all of it is like I have all the stuff that I've done in the past 2 months, and that is it. So this is the best I could find for Starkiller. Remember, this is a really low percentage win rate, and in fact, let's talk about this for just 1 second. Wampa versus Starkiller in 3v3 and just Kyber 1 through 5. It's like a 40% win rate, so that's still not great, but it's like, okay, well, you can win sometimes, if you're desperate. And against it in Kyber 1, it's a 25% win rate, so very desperation mode stuff. But this is why you want faster speed on Wampa, and if you can make it work, it feels really nice. In 5v5, your win rate is 13%, and when you get to Kyber 1, it's like 0. So the big thing here, guys, is when Mara Jade does her tenacity down, then you need to use your icebreaker immediately after that, because otherwise you're gonna get stunned and then you'll just die. So let's go back to the video here, and I'll show you guys. Now, this is kind of sad because the footage is I loaded turn meter, and so their turns are all weird and out of order. But I'm like, okay, if I can do anything here, and it's kind of a good strategy, guys. Honestly, if you have the opportunity to load turn meter on this, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna lose against Starkiller. Sometimes, especially if you're gonna use Wampa, it's going to be helpful to have all their cooldowns all in weird places so that you can potentially react to it. So we're targeting Palpatine if we can take him out. So now that he's gone, we really don't want Visas to be able to stop, or to be able to revive him again. And so the thing to keep in mind, okay, so we get stunned, that's not great, but notice all the damage over times that they have, and they're just dying passively even as they finally kill Wampa. Now, the final go here, guys, the final boss, this is the one you got a sneak peek of. Sith Eternal Emperor. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people are like, oh yeah, Sith Eternal, he just autos the whole team. And sometimes if people put a really bad team down, that's true. However, good Sith Eternal Emperors are not going to be very beatable by a Wampa in 5 minutes. If you have 10 minutes, maybe, but a lot of times they'll put characters down that just kill Wampa anyways, like Malak or Malgus for that matter. Or there's a ton of different characters that really just block Wampa from being able to win, and so you need to just two-shot Sith Eternal almost always, at least if you find a really good Sith Eternal. If it's a bad one, like I said, like you have to be the judge, but if you're facing someone like Savage is going to time you out, there's a ton of pitfalls here, guys, and if you look at the underlined ability that I showed you earlier as well, if you can get him down to just Sith Eternal Emperor, then Wampa's going to be in a really good place to be able to take him out because he gets all those extra buffs and everything. Now, the other thing that people don't realize is you want Wampa, you want Sith Eternal Emperor to get his ultimate. So let's go through this here, guys. So this is turbo mode here, obviously, but note that you get deceived, that debuff deceived from Sith Eternal Emperor, and that means you can't hit back, so it's very slow going. You just want him to get his ult, that's all you want. So you hit auto. Every once in a while, you turn off auto so that you can do Icebreaker, so you don't just die casually, because you're not doing enough damage to really keep yourself that alive, even though you have some good health steal. And you just want Sith Eternal Emperor to get his ult, because that's when he stops healing his protection. You want to ramp your damage, and you want, once he gets to his ult, if you get lucky as well, then you won't maybe you won't have that deceived debuff, and then he can't reapply deceived either. Deceived is what's making you stop countering, like it's preventing you from countering. So okay, we'll slow it down just a little bit here, and he goes, does it AoE, cool, and now we don't have deceived, and so we just hit him back. And even though this guy has 400% armor, I should say, this is the strongest Sith Eternal Emperor I've ever seen, he still just goes down like a chump because we ramped a lot and he didn't have a way to heal himself. Now Sith Eternal Emperor here. Now this is the final fight, guys, and I just want to show you, this is a pitfall you gotta look out for. I fell into this and it's embarrassing, but I hope you can learn from it. Is in the age of Datacrons, there's going to be abilities that impact you adversely, and you need to be paying attention to this. This is a Sith one, where if a Sith ally hits an opponent, an opposing character, and no one on that character's team already has ability block is automatically applied. So I went through the trouble of killing the ads on the Sith Eternal Emperor squad, and then I'm like, okay, Wampa can just do what I just did in that last fight. That's gonna work really nicely, right? It's gonna be perfect, but it's not, because we just have permanent ability block, and Sith Eternal Emperor is so much faster. He's just never going to have a turn where he doesn't hurt Wampa, and therefore I can't do any of my abilities. I can't ramp damage, I can't do Icebreaker, I can't do anything. I'm just going to die, and that's it, folks. Just watch out for Datacrons that can totally screw you. Like, the ability block normally doesn't matter that much. He'll get through it, and then he won't get it anymore. But if that automatically applies, it doesn't matter if he has a trillion of tenacity. It's just going to apply regardless. All right, guys, let me know, how do you use Wampa? What's a better use for it than what I showed you? I would love to hear from you guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zereth prevails.